Welcome to the Farming Without the Bank podcast, the show with a no BS approach to money, hosted by a farm strategy expert and authorized IBC practitioner. Join us as we get real and expose the flaws of traditional financial institutions in order to help farmers take control of their finances, create peace of mind, grow their wealth, and leave a legacy. Now, here's your host, Mary Jo Irmen.
Hello, and thank you for coming back to the podcast and tuning in again today. I appreciate it. And you know what else I appreciate? All of you sharing your 5-star reviews. That's awesome. You guys make me look fantastic. I love it. And I am so happy that you are enjoying the podcast. Because let's be honest, it is a labor of love, and I absolutely love to do them. But I want you to find them beneficial. And if you are not finding them beneficial, that would be annoying to me because I don't like to waste my time listening to things that I'm not learning from. And so I am glad that you guys are learning from this. So if you see fit, please do share this with your buddies. That's even better yet. Okay, let's get into it today. And we are going to talk about control. We really need to get down to why this infinite banking concept even exists, because I think that we are missing the point. It seems that I have a common theme lately about what is the interest rate? Why would I borrow from the policy? Why wouldn't I go to the bank and borrow money? If you have listened to my podcast about our experience with the bank when we bought our property, you would understand why, right? And it's all about control. Why does the concept even exist? Because Nelson Nash, the founder of the infinite banking concept, was caught with a $500,000 land note when interest rates went to 23% in the 80s. He then had a buddy and business partner that could not pay his $300,000 of debt. So guess who got that debt? Nelson. And instead of filing bankruptcy, he figured out a way to get out of that system, away from the banks, pay off that debt. And he did that using his whole life insurance. He did that understanding how he could get more money in. He did the infinite banking concept. And then he was awesome enough to write a book and share it with all of us so we too can understand how to create wealth. We are forgetting about the control. I had a client call me because they're trying to buy a property. Month and a half of dealing with the banks. 2 weeks before closing, the bank says, sorry, can't give you any money because you have a Schedule F. And we don't want to deal with you because you're a farmer. Even though there is an off-the-farm job and making nearly 6 figures a year, it didn't matter. What did that client have to say to me? Mary Jo, I understand why we are using this concept. I went back to the book this morning and I read it. And I just know it has to work because what we're doing is not working, right? What we're doing is not working. Today might be a great day for you. The bank might say, yep, it's absolutely no problem to do a loan for you. Absolutely none at all. And then guess what? Right before you're ready to close on a property, you get told that you can't do the loan. Because why? I don't know. I honestly don't know what the heck they are doing in their offices. Do they just sit there and say, okay, yep, it's all good. I opened your email, looked at your numbers for 5 seconds. We're good. But, 2 weeks before closing or 3 days before closing, I'm going to get a better look at that. Same thing that happened to us. 3 months it took to get an appraisal on our property. 3 months. And they don't even know until the week before closing that we are going to have an approved loan, the week before, I am sending bank statements. I am justifying my life to these people when I have 80% of the cash to pay for this property. It doesn't matter about the interest rate. What matters is that we have control. And we are forgetting that. We are forgetting how simple it would be to just go to the policy and do what? Take a loan with no questions. Pay it back with no questions. Instead, we are fighting this tiny little voice in our head that says, well, the bank interest rates are lower. The bank interest rates are lower. Yes, they are. And you get to answer all those stupid questions. People, this concept is not about rates. It is about you becoming the banker, you being in the business of banking, you being in the business of control, you having liquidity to money. We have got to get that in our heads because all we're doing is concerned about the rate. Does the rate matter? Yes, of course, it's a factor. But does your sanity matter? Does the opportunity to maybe purchase a piece of land, purchase something that's going to generate cash flow, does that matter? The banks don't understand cash flow. They absolutely do not get it. And if there are some out there that do, it's a miracle. And I'm going to beat up a little bit on the banks today, apparently. I don't typically do that. But when we go in, when I talk to business owners and they tell me that they have to tell the bank, and they're in front of the board and they have to tell the bank that they are going to, without the loan, they're not going to be able to generate the cash flow needed to make the payments. When you have to tell a bank that your business, an idea that you have is going to generate cash flow, you are not dealing with entrepreneurs that know anything about business, that know anything about farming. You are dealing with people that lend money and don't want the risk associated with it. That is what they are in the business of. I get that. But you need to understand that you are going to sit in front of a board and beg and plead and ask them for money, or you are going to build a system where you have access to that money and it's liquid. You can have it in 24 hours without question. You just have to build the system. And if the pain is not great enough for you today, you are not going to see the value. You are always going to go back to interest rate. And how do I know that? Because we personally just went through that, right? I personally still went to the bank to get a lower rate so that I could have liquid money to do things that they would not give me a loan for. So my policy money will be used for things the bank won't lend me money for, or I don't want to ask questions for. Next time, I would much prefer to pay 8% interest to a life insurance company without stupid questions, without having to hand over 11 months of bank statements to prove that I have the money to buy something I want. We need to remember this concept is a concept. It is not about interest rates. It's not about rates of return. Those are factors in the equation. If you want control and freedom to do what you want when you want the pool of money, you want to use the concept and have the policy to borrow that money from. How do we get there? What are the sacrifices we need to make? Yeah, we need to beat Parkinson's law. We need to beat it. I talked about this Last week on my Thursday night Facebook Live, I know a lot of you don't like Facebook, but that's how you found me in most cases. So I do a Thursday night live every Thursday, and we talk about the client meetings I've had for the week. And guess what? I had a client that filed bankruptcy. He now operates on 100% of cash because he can't get a bank loan. It's the most glorious thing ever. I actually love it when the bank tells people that they won't give them money because why? It forces us to be more creative and find ways to do what we want to do. If you really want to do something and the bank says no, you'll find a way. This guy has found a way to do it and pay off a $50,000 bankruptcy note. Every year, $50,000 payment. Sorry, his payment was $50,000. Every year. Now what? That payment's going to be gone. Parkinson's law means our needs rise to meet our income. If he can beat that and say, you know what? I was paying $50,000 a year to the bankruptcy court. I was still running my business. If he can take that $50,000 and put it into a policy and create a pool of money that was otherwise gone, he never got to see it. Imagine where he's going to be in 10 years. He's going to have $500,000 of cash value. That is huge. He has had enough pain and he's gone to the bank and they said, absolutely, go buy equipment. Times are good. Well, guess what? When commodity prices dropped, times weren't so good. He has learned to pay attention to his numbers. He has learned to control everything that he can control. And he has learned he doesn't need the bank because he has been creative and figured out how to do it without the bank. People, my friends, this is not about rates. You have got to understand that. You've got to remember that someday, if interest rates go back up, then what? When the bank tells you no, then what? Then you might sit back and say, boy, I wish I would have had more money in my policy. I wish I would have had more control. I said that to myself 4 months ago when we bought that property. I wish I would have beat Parkinson's law and been frugal and been saving because I would not have needed to go to the bank. I wouldn't have, because I myself was annoyed with the questions, annoyed with the process. People have dreams and they're good people that know how to manage their money. And when they're told 2 weeks before a closing that they can't give them a loan and they have to find a new bank, that is uncalled for. When my husband bought his first home, he was told the day before closing that his loan wouldn't go through. He had to find another bank the day before closing. You are telling me that a bank cannot make that decision weeks before? Why are we waiting till the last minute? They are in control. If you want control, you have the money. Nelson talks about this in his book, in his chapter, The Cost of Acquisition. Time is money. And this is actually one of the next chapters that I was going to go over. And so I'm just going to touch on it here because it's only 3/4 of a page of a chapter. And there's not a ton to elaborate on here, but I really want you guys to understand that even Nelson in his book is saying there is a cost of spending time at the bank answering stupid questions. There is a cost of time spent worrying about, am I going to get that loan or not? There is a cost to all of these things. Your time is worth money. And I even told the bank my 2.5% interest that I got really wasn't 2.5%. How much time did I spend sending bank statements? How much time did I spend following up with them and seeing what the status is? How much time did I spend trying to make a plan B, because who the heck knows if plan A was going to work, right? There is money, financial money to my time. And most farmers do not understand that. Heck, most business owners don't understand that. I talked to a home builder and they said they clean their own houses. Why on God's green earth is the home builder cleaning houses when they should be managing another build? Why are we doing things that are not productive of our time spent on them? In most cases, yes, we need to have some money for those things, right? But in this particular instance, it just gets passed down to the person paying for the build. So why wouldn't you just mark up your services to pay for a cleaning person? That just doesn't make sense to me. Why are we doing things that don't make us money? That interest rate is not really 2% when you have to go sit at the bank for hours to justify yourself. Your time is worth something. Nelson talks about that in his book. If you guys have not gotten Becoming Your Own Banker, go to farmingwithoutthebank.com and get Becoming Your Own Banker. There's no reason for you to not have this book. Mine is awesome. It's fantastic. However, it is not everything. Nelson's book is a great compliment. Mine is actually a great compliment to Nelson's. Understand there is a cost to that, and it's not all about interest rates. Okay, guys, that's it. That's all I got for today. Just, today's the final lecture. Remember, I really just ask that you remember why you're doing this, and you're doing this for control. You're doing this so you have the freedom to do what you want, when you want, how you want to do it. And nobody gets to tell you how to do that. As always, thank you very much for being here. If you have questions, email me, maryjo@withoutthebank.com. I am happy to answer those emails. I am happy to have suggestions of things that you want to talk about. Whatever works for you, you just let me know. And you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Farming Without the Bank podcast. We hope today's episode has inspired you to take control of your finances in new ways. Don't forget to check out our website, farmingwithoutthebank.com, and engage with us on our Facebook page, Farming Without the Bank. Join us next week as we smash more financial myths and empower you to accomplish your financial goals.